Hi, everybody, and welcome to Metaphysical Insights. I'm William Becker, and my special guest today is Paul Rook. Paul's staying up late for us. He's in England and has been in the field quite a while and is an author, has his own team. He's got media, the radio, web radio, all kinds of things, and we'll dig into some of this as well as experiences and such as we go on. So, Paul, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's really good to be here.
Oh, good. And I'm wondering how you got into the paranormal work to begin with.
Okay, well, I first got into it. I've always had a passion for the paranormal, mainly about ghosts and UFOs initially.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because of a book my dad used to have on mysteries, the unexplained mysteries of the world. And it was a Reader's Digest book. I can't remember the title because I was very young at the time. And I used to
Mm-hmm.
keep nicking this book off my dad's bookshelf and flicking through and reading about it. And it had everything in it from like NASCAR lines to ghosts, zombies and the whole ritual about that, and just loads of different other subjects, Loch Ness Monster, you name it, it was in there. And that sort of gave me my real passion. Then, as time went on, obviously more and more ghost things came onto the telly,
Right.
um, and it was one called Most Haunted in the UK. I don't know if you guys have heard of it over there,
I've seen it on
but
YouTube.
yeah, it interested me that they were getting so much activity all the time. And okay, I know some of it could be faked. I'm not saying it is, but a lot of it is alleged to be fake. Um, so I just wanted to experience some of that for myself. So I actually
Mm-hmm.
got a group of friends together and said, "Look, I'm interested in the paranormal. Let's go do a bit of ghost hunting." And
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of where it started from there, and it just escalated into a paranormal team because obviously we learned more and more as one. So we became a proper, you know, paranormal team, and
Right.
then we went into working as an events company. So we escalated it that far,
Fantastic.
and yeah, as time goes on, I mean, we're always learning. That's something that every paranormal investigator should be doing. Um, at the moment, I mean, I quite like my research and looking into different aspects of the paranormal, and it is literally a broad band of different subjects, and I just love them all from UFOs, cryptozoology,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual work, and ghosts and stuff like that. And I just love it all. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know as much about the UFOs. Some, and I've seen one, but I don't know what it is. And I've some with the
Yeah.
crypto I understand and know, but it's all fascinating.
Mhm.
Where
I mean, I've seen all the programs on the telly about this person caught this UFO on the phone. What do you make of it? And it does interest me to wonder what exactly they are. Recently, we've actually through our radio station, which is Paranormal Concepts, we've actually had someone on from the MUFON, and that's an
okay,
organisation in the US that studies the UFO um, phenomena. Um,
right.
and he's just a mind full of information, and we're tapping into that quite a bit at the moment because again, I like to learn, and we're learning more about the UFO side of paranormal,
It,
and yeah,
yeah.
just loving it.
Have you come to any kind of an idea about where those come from? Are they interdimensional, extraterrestrial, um, different
Um,
time
See,
and place?
I've had this discussion, and I'm quite on the fence because I've got loads of different theories.
Hmm.
Um, there's a possibility that they could be interdimensional, and then when they disappear, that's where they're going. They're going back to the. Um, I can't believe for the love of money that an alien would travel 65 billion light years to Earth just to do a few dances in the sky and then go home again. I find
Right.
that A little bit hard to swallow, that one. But
unless they've got some kind of
there are
a
so many
timer
cases.
or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
there are some cases that they're there to watch over us, or keep an eye on us, or check on our evolutionary track.
Mhm.
I can believe that. It's a nice thought, but is that what
Mhm.
they're doing? I'm not too sure. I don't know. Maybe they are just checking in on us to make sure we're all right, and then going home again, waiting for us to be at a certain technological um, level before they actually make first contact.
Yeah, that could be. There's so many
Yeah.
questions, and I don't know if we'll ever get the answers, but it's a fascinating subject, and one you have to be careful.
Yeah,
There's so
I
many
do
different.
know there's a lot of files that have been redacted and released over the last few years from like the
Mhm.
CIA, FBI, and all the other government agencies across the world.
Right.
Um, but I don't think we're going to get the full story, not until they decide to knock on your front door and go, "Hey, we're here."
Exactly. And if they're friendly, cool. They can come in for tea. I think I'd probably even have a bottle of scotch. But if they're not friendly, they don't have to stop. But
No, they
because
just
that's
move
one,
on, roll on
I,
by.
I assume that. Well, I know a lot of people that they think they're going to any beings from other places are all going to be alike, and you just bring them all and they're welcoming or something. But I would imagine they're
Hmm.
like us. You've got anything from Joseph Mengele and um, or Hitler to Saint Mother Teresa, and so I want to make sure that it's
Yeah, I mean, there are. For me, I don't just believe in the humanoid type of aliens.
mhm,
It's just, I think, arrogant to assume that all aliens are going to have two legs, two arms, a head, and a body.
mhm,
That they could be anything. I mean, we evolved to live on a carbon rich planet, so
right,
we're carbon based. But then if
mhm,
you get another planet that could support life, and it has another element that's more profound and more common, they could be, I don't know, like a boron based alien. So they might
right,
have completely different features to us. They might even not even evolve past the bacterial stage, or the life
right.
forms doesn't just come in the human form. There's many
No,
types of life out there.
there are, and we've got even on our own planet, we've got life forms that are in some of the volcanic vents and such, either on
Yeah,
land or under the oceans, that are living in high temperatures and arsenic based or other highly poisonous bases for us. That environment would
absolutely.
kill us.
Because I think their base, their chemical makeup makes them thrive on sulfur
Hmm.
from vents, and that's how they're sulfur-based life forms. So it's exactly what I'm sort of getting at. There's other life out there, and I mean they were only discovered what 20, maybe 30 years ago.
Right, not long. As we've
No,
gotten subs and things that can go unmanned and down deeper.
mm,
Um,
exactly. There's so
part
many
of
species that haven't been discovered yet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we get new things all the time. Or there was just I was reading in Smithsonian or something the other day about a bird that they thought was extinct for 150 years, and they've seen
Mm,
one now. I mean, um, it's it's really fascinating the degree and variety of life that's out there. Um,
yeah,
my
definitely.
problem is I'm spoiled where I live. None of the life is venomous. Um, and so when I go into other parts of the world, it's like, don't bite me. I get a little nervous. But um, I tend to jump around from topic to topic a little bit. It's just part of the way my mind works. So forgive me about this. But um, what kind of experiences have you had, in a sense? Do you get a chance when you're investigating to get to know the beings that are there, or get any kind of a conversation where you've got, I mean, I like the idea of building friendships with people that just happen to not be breathing. And I don't know if that's
Yeah,
something you guys have done or.
yeah, we have more in the recent years. We go to a location not far from where I am, and we've gone there quite a lot. And there is actually a spirit that does have a link to me.
Oh.
I don't know him personally,
Mhm.
but I think because I'm up in Warwickshire at the moment, um, I'm not sure whether or not this spirit, because he's a Londoner, has
Mhm.
that link with me because I'm from London.
Okay.
That's sort of what I'm guessing. But every time I go to that location and do an experiment or use a Ouija board or
Mhm.
whatever I'm doing, this spirit called George will always come through first, just to
Okay.
say hello, welcome back, sort of thing. So I think he feels that connection to me. Maybe it's just because of the accent or something. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, he comes back to me every time. I have been to other locations and he's come through on the board there as well, saying you need to come back to see me. So he keeps
Okay.
asking for me to go back, which is quite interesting. Um, but as for anywhere else, I've experienced strange and unusual things.
Mhm.
Whether or not they're paranormal, I'm quite hesitant to say that anything is paranormal, just because if I can't explain it, that don't mean to say someone else can't. So I'm
Right.
quite happy to talk about my experiences to everybody. Um,
Mhm.
if they can offer an explanation, that would be brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm always looking for the logical reasoning. I just hate the term, haunted. This place is haunted, or this place is full of paranormal activity, because that's something that I'm not going to know.
Right. And I'm one of these people too. I call myself a firm believer, but highly skeptical, um, because
Mm.
of each event in each location, each thing that happens. There's so many different pieces that could be creating something.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been in a theatre before now, and I've sat in like the front rows of the seats, and there
Hmm.
was no one else around. All the other teams were accounted for in other parts of the building, and I
Hmm.
was sitting on my own. And I heard the double doors go at the back. So they opened and shut. You could hear them swinging. And then you
Hmm.
heard footsteps walking across the wooden floor. And then you heard one of the seats go down. Whether or not that is something that occurs naturally, I don't know. But,
Hmm.
I've only experienced it that once. So I can't say whether or not that was paranormal. To me, that's an unexplained experience.
Right.
But someone else might come along and in 10, 20 years have that experience and go, well, actually, it was this. And that's what caused all that noise.
Hmm.
Not actually someone walking in. And, the way I had my experience. So
Right.
someone in 10, 20 years' time could explain it away. Um,
Hmm.
what I experienced wasn't then paranormal. But if no one offers another explanation, then it can go on for years and years.
Right.
I would like to go back to that one.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to do much in a large theater setting or something like that. Um,
Mm,
Cathedrals, castles, prehistoric sites tend to be a lot of what I get to when I'm in
mm.
Britain. Um, have you had anything? I'm asking this because this is one of those types of questions everybody likes to know about. But um, an experience that was particularly frightening, and also maybe an experience that was particularly rewarding.
Um, no, not really. I've never been afraid of any of this sort of stuff.
Hmm.
I think the one that intrigued me the most was I was at a place in Saffron Walden, which is in Essex, in the county of Essex,
Hmm.
and it was time at a youth hospital. And
Okay.
as we was in the basement area,
Hmm.
and we was told by the team that was in there that a spirit often is seen in this area. So we wasn't given too much information. Just it was as basic as that. So we all stood in a circle, and this medium claimed to be a specialist medium in manifestations. So it was like, yeah, all right, whatever, sort of thing.
Hmm.
And as we called four people to stand in the middle of this circle, and as we was all talking or doing the experiment, I mean, it was a long time ago,
Hmm.
so I can't exactly remember what was said. I actually saw a white shadow of a woman walk behind the four people, and bear in mind we're in pitch black, so I could see the white of the woman, and then as she passed behind the people that were standing in the middle of the circle, she'd disappear and then come out the other side. So it was
Right.
like she was walking behind them, and as she came around to the side of the four, she fell to the
Hmm.
floor and turned into blue flames and set fire to all their feet, all four of them. Um, Now, I thought, wow, that's really weird. And I actually voiced at that point, I can actually see something. I don't, I can't explain what it is. But another guy, a couple of people down from me, he actually said, yeah, I see some blue flames. So he confirmed to me that what I was seeing is the same as what he was seeing. So for me,
Okay.
that's confirming what I can see.
Right.
And I've always wondered what that could mean. And we was doing an interview probably about 3 or 4 years ago now with someone, and they said that when spirits turn into blue flame, it's like they're taking negativity and turning into positivity.
Oh.
So he, so to me, that could be that four people were quite skeptic that were in the middle.
Hmm.
So they were turning their negativity about the event into a positive experience.
Right.
And I
And
thought,
then
actually, yeah,
especially with
I
the
can
flame
understand
going to
that.
their
If
feet. Hmm.
exactly, if spirit is real and it's there, it manifested by walking behind them, and
Hmm.
somehow it must have linked into them to see whether or not they're believers or not. And
Right.
because maybe they wasn't, it sort of turned into the fire to try and change their minds and in some way, more of a um, metaphysical way, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. I hadn't heard of
And
that.
that was one of my first few experiences, at least.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that's a good way to help keep your attention. Did the fire, was it actually hot? Did it do any damage to anybody?
No,
Or
no, I
was it?
couldn't. Normally, I'm about as sensitive as a piece of carpet. I just don't get anything like this at all. So that
Uh,
was my first experience actually witnessing something. And when it was fire, I couldn't. There was no sense at all to it. It was just a visual thing. So I
right.
couldn't feel heat or cold or anything like that. There was no senses whatsoever. It was
Okay.
in a pitch black room. To one point, I actually waved my hand in front of my face just to see that I couldn't see anything. Um, and it was a really strange experience. But I just again chalked that up to something unexplained.
Hmm.
Um, was it paranormal? Possibly.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, it's something that we can't go back and experiment with because they've turned it into private flats now.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so it's something that I'll never go back to.
it'd be
But it,
interesting
it
to
is a
know.
shame. It really is.
It'd be interesting to know if
Yeah.
the flat residents have any experiences, not necessarily with white
Yeah,
ladies in
absolutely.
flame, but
Yeah, but I've not heard anything.
hmm.
No report of anything coming from that area. Also, it might be worth firing off a few letters to see whether or not some of the residents have experienced
Yeah,
anything that they might want
right.
to report.
Um,
I
might
might do that.
might want to have some kind of an investigation, or at least something in the common areas or something.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. That might be something to look into. Actually, I might have a go at that.
Hmm. What are your favorite kinds of places to investigate? Or do you have any?
I quite like indoor areas. I'm quite interested in history, so museums are really fascinating for me. I'm dying to get into a couple of medical museums because I've got this medical background as well, which is
Right.
sort of my day job. So I've got that personal interest. So
Right.
museums, I like prisons. Prisons are really good
Okay.
locations. Had quite a few experiences in the two that I've been to.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and just places like that. I mean, I've got an event coming up in June to an RAF base in Norfolk, and it's like a
Okay.
radar post, and
Right.
it's like a nuclear bunker type thing as well. So that's going to be an interesting location to go to. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like places like that.
Uh, that sounds like a lot of fun. That's not the right word.
Oh,
It sounds like a
it is.
very interesting time. I
Well,
mean,
I'm team sharing with another team for that location, and
okay.
yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. I've been to one of the Air Force bases over there. Rotham, I think it is.
Yep, Ruffin
And then,
Towers. Yep, yeah, I know
yeah,
that
I
one.
think that was it. And then
Yeah,
I've also been to one of the readouts from the Napoleonic Wars Vivian took.
yeah. Readout Fort as well. That's in Harwich.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been there as
yeah.
well. Yeah,
And
they are both fantastic locations. They really are.
mhm, they are.
Hmm.
And there was certainly, I mean, you could certainly see things, or I could, at the readout. There were experiences, I think, too, at the airbase, but I can't remember exactly. I have to go through and
Yeah, I mean, we've had when we've been there, we've had a few um, things happening in the actual control tower and
mhm,
in one of the bunkers as well that they've got there. So we've had a few activity bits and pieces there. At
okay,
Fort Redoubt, again, we've had. I think the most interesting one we had was they've got a moat around the outside, and it's all grass. You can actually walk around it,
right,
and when it was quite covered in dew one morning, and
mhm,
we was there in the morning, and we actually could see footsteps, um, and it was like something had come out of the wall and started walking around the the um, the moat, but stopped halfway round,
okay,
which was
that's
quite
interesting.
interesting. That was quite, yeah, it just appeared that something had walked out of the wall to the centre of the moat, started to walk around like someone was going to do a patrol around the moat,
Mhm.
um, and then the footsteps just disappeared, and
Was there
like
any kind of
you can see footsteps, you can see the footsteps in the dew,
right?
so it's they're quite clear, yeah.
No, was where they came out of the tower, um, or the wall? Could Was there any sign that there was a door or something there at one point?
I think there could have been possibly.
Okay.
I don't remember. Again, it was a few years ago now.
Hmm.
I do think there was a bricked up wall there.
Okay.
Um, so again, it was just an interesting observation, really,
Right.
because again, we done it as a public event. Um, so although it was an interesting occurrence, I couldn't say for sure whether or not one of the guests could have done it. But we
Mhm.
documented it anyway and put it down as one
Mhm.
of our experiences. But I can't account for many people on that event, so it's
Right.
just going to be one of those I don't unknown unless someone else reports it as well.
Hmm.
But I don't think many
Yeah.
teams really go out into the moat and look for that.
We went into the moat, but there wasn't dew, I don't think, at the time. I'm not sure we looked for that. Um, it was a while ago. Um, it was interesting, and we were there overnight, pretty much. And I get
Yeah.
tired. My staying up till 3 in the morning days are behind me, but at least enjoying it. Now you've also got
Yeah.
books that are out and that you're putting out. You've got
Yeah,
new.
absolutely. I've actually got two books with me. Okay.
Okay.
The first one is there it is, the Book of Parasearch. Okay.
Okay.
When I first started doing the radio, my own radio station, it was called Parasearch Radio, and
Hmm.
we asked all the presenters, but some of them only did it, to do some blogs. So all our blogs are in this book. Okay, so you've got the Book of Power Search.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's just a collection of blogs and ideas from all the presenters.
Okay.
Okay, and then when we closed the station, we went over to another network to carry on the Paranormal Concept Show. And
Okay.
between myself, Kerry Greenway, and Richard Clements, we actually put a collection of our own blogs together and come up with the Paranormal Concept Extra book. Okay, they're both available on Amazon.
Okay.
There's Amazon.com, I think, for the US. Just
Right.
type in you should find them quite easily.
Okay.
And yeah, I think they're $9.99, or the first one might be $8.99. That, mind you, that's in UK prices. So I'm not
Hmm.
sure what that translates to the US.
Right.
But yeah, I'm actually the Paranormal Concept Show is working on a third book, which will be out in December this year.
Okay.
Um, and I'm actually writing a book myself in regards to the 12 Labors of Hercules. I've always been interested in Greek mythology,
Hmm.
and I wrote a blog on Icarus and how he flew close to the sun and melted his wings, basically. And it's just a nice story about how you should do what your dad says. Uh,
Hmm.
so that sort of went where I went with that blog. But when it comes to doing the Hercules side of it, there was so much information.
Hmm.
I actually started it as a blog, but I got like I think the first two labours of Hercules, and I was on like 1,000 words already. And I thought that's
Right.
quite a long blog, really. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to break it down a little bit more and try and put it into a small book,
Okay.
and then go from there. So there's that one, and then I might go on to do a second one about Hercules with the Jason and the Argonauts side of the story as well. So
Okay.
that's sort of what I'm working on personally at the moment.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. Those I want to read when you get them out. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
I'll send you the link.
mhm. Good. And go ahead and type up in the chat box here any of the links or names that you
Yeah,
want people
if
to get.
if everyone, I'll type in the website address for the Paranormal Concept Show.
Okay, good. And it's a good show. I've been on
Okay,
it.
and yeah, that is basically the website for myself. Um, and let's just check it's right. Paraconcept.com. Yep, that's it. Basically, I take it to the website, and it's got some of our blogs on the front page, the home page, so you can
Oh,
have a
good.
read of some of our stuff.
Great.
The books do contain extra blogs as well, so all the blogs put out will be in the book, but there'll be extra content as well.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not just all release stuff; it is other stuff as well. Um, and you've also got a list of all our shows on the website as well, so you can have a
Okay.
look back. We've done so many different subjects, and we've had so many guests on. It's unbelievable.
Hmm.
The I think if you wanted to look into the MUFON that I actually mentioned earlier,
Hmm.
we had a guy on. His name's Chris DeMare, and he's a New York police officer. And we interviewed him for one of the shows, and that was based on the UFOs. So you can scroll down and have a look and see whether or not you should be able to find that show, and you can have a listen. And if you like it, you can listen to them all. There's about a year and a bit of shows, and they go out every week as well, every Tuesday at regular as clockwork.
Excellent. I highly recommend.
And you can also contact us through that website as well.
Okay. Very good. One of the things we were talking a little bit about beforehand too were the cryptozoology. Have you had any experience with that?
I've not had any cryptozoology cases myself, but I have spoken to a guy, and the name escapes me at the moment. He is a cryptozoologist for the UK, and he writes, I think it's a blog or something called Beasts of Britain.
Okay.
And he looks obviously for the cryptozoology cases in the UK. A majority of them are just big cats. We don't get much variety over in the UK. But there are the odd occasion. I mean, apparently we're supposed to have like a Bigfoot type creature in the UK. That's further up north. And obviously you've got the Loch Ness Monster that everybody knows very well. And that's about it really in the UK. There'll be one or two that pop up every now and again that I've forgotten, but I'm more interested in the cryptozoology cases all over the world. I mean, especially like the abominable snowman, the Yeti, Bigfoot. Are they the same as a Yeti?
I think they're all basically the same,
different
just
species,
different locations.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, because you get all different species all attached to the same family, don't you? And I'm thinking maybe like the Yeti and the Bigfoot could be the same sort of thing. But you get stories from Russia with I think, wasn't it the Dyatlov Pass? They claimed at one point that it could have been a sea that killed all these people.
Oh, that's right.
In the tent,
right,
and their bodies were naked and ripped apart and whatnot. It's an interesting case as well, the Dyatlov Pass. But that's in Russia. Then you've got the cases in the US, and it's just amazing. I really do find all that sort of stuff interesting.
Yeah, it can be, especially when it's not obviously somebody faking it or really stretching something to make it real. And we've got a big Bigfoot community out here as far as people involved. In the county I live in is one of the ones that's sightings and activity are supposed to be most common in the country. And we've got part of the county is up into the Cascade Mountains, so we've got a lot of high timberland.
I do think though with the Bigfoot, it's almost turned into like this tourist trap. Because again, like the UK with the Loch Ness Monster, whenever anyone goes to Scotland, they want to go and see the Loch Ness, and there's a big community around that area that sell things like Nessie type stuff. Any Nessie merchandise that you can get, and there's a big tourist trap for that. And I think Bigfoot has sort of turned into that as well, but for the US mainly.
Oh, it's huge. There's an inn down in about 4.5 hour drive south of me, southern end of the state, that has a lot of T-shirts and merch, all kinds of things about Bigfoot. You can buy anything you want. You can buy with Bigfoot on it, pretty much around here in some place or another. It is a little out of control. And I have seen one. At least I don't know what else it could be. I'm open to other possibilities. Um,
So I'm quite interested that it was on a documentary, and I can't remember which one it was because it was quite a long time ago.
mhm,
The people looking for the Bigfoot were banging on the trees because they
right.
said this is how they communicate, and they were banging on the trees, and then you'd get another bang on a tree from the other side of the forest,
Hmm.
and they said that's Bigfoot communicating with us. And I just sort of chuckled to myself because I thought, well, maybe it's another team of Bigfoot hunters, and they're really communicating against each other.
Right. Right.
I bet the Bigfoot's in the middle, laughing at them both.
Well, there's a story I heard from people who were there, people who participated in it, um, in the Eastern Oregon mountains. And
Mm,
one of the big cryptozoologists from a university, a state university in Idaho, I think, was there. And the people owned a haunted B&B, and it's a place I've done events and things. But they were out with this guy, and they did see something, but he was
mm.
banging on the trees, and he said it makes him mad. So he did it to get them to be active. And
Yeah.
my friends had already come back down a bit, but this guy, the professor, was starting to have huge boulders thrown at him because he got him mad all right. And this is from people, people I know that were eyewitnesses and were watching it at the time. So I
Mm.
don't
I mean,
think they were making it up,
it is
but I don't know. I
interesting.
wasn't there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. There's so many contradictions in claims as well.
Hmm.
Doesn't it
Yeah.
does make you think, is there actually anything there, or is it all
And if
just
they are
an
there,
elaborate?
yeah. And if they really are there and what I saw was real, um, are they interdimensional? Is that's why they come and go and we don't find any real solid
Yeah,
proof? That's my feeling
yeah,
that they
I've
are.
heard, I've heard that theory as well.
Hmm.
And are they sort of um, maybe they could be some sort of like tree sprite type thing? I don't know.
Hmm.
If they're a race that lives in the jungles and heavily tree populated areas.
Right.
Um, maybe they are one with nature sort of thing, and they're there to protect the
Hmm.
area. I suppose I don't know.
Yeah.
Just an
Well,
idea.
there's a story that Teddy Roosevelt was looking in the Rockies and saw one, and his idea had been to go and shoot one. He was a big trophy hunter, and he didn't. He said it was too human. But I don't know. I've been
Hmm.
told that's a true story, but who knows? I haven't seen the references, so I can't vouch for it. But
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one to look into,
mhm,
especially if you are really into it.
mhm,
But I mean, there's so many different types of cryptoids in the US, swamp monsters and all that sort of thing. And I just think the wide range of creatures, that the imagination of some people
right,
is just amazing.
it is.
Another
And
one that really interests me is the Chubacabra.
now, which one is that?
That was yeah, that was another one that interests me when I was younger. It's sort well, from the descriptions that I've seen, it's almost like a little kangaroo type creature that feeds
Okay.
off cattle, and
Oh,
it came about at the time of all mutilated cattle incidents that came around in the US.
right.
I'm not sure what part. Maybe some of your viewers will know it, but there was a lot of puncture wounds in the necks of these animals, and they bannered about the term of vampires,
Mhm.
but then the chupacabra became one of the suspects for that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and
Well,
then a
that's
few
interesting.
last year or the year before, there was actually a video that of a guy that claimed that he found a chupacabra den, and there was loads of dead chupacabra in it.
Okay.
And he actually filmed it, but I don't know whether or not that was a credible source or not. I don't know,
Right.
but I
I'm
do
pretty.
get to see some of those.
Yeah. Now, what about? I mean, because one of the things that you have over there a lot are stories of the Fae. The others, I call them mythical creatures. They're so called, and they could also be a big part of going on in paranormal. Have you had experience, or what are your feelings about those?
Okay, for me, the Fae, or most people would know, probably call them fairies at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Um, I've I don't believe in fairies like little Tinkerbell, the little lady with the big wings and stuff.
Right.
I don't believe that that's what they are. I believe that they are what we call elementals. So you've got
Mhm.
earth, wind, fire, and water, and they basically are entities that protect, or energies that protect that particular element.
Okay.
I have I have experienced an entity that is actually in one of the nuclear bunkers that I've been to.
Okay.
And this nuclear bunker is a big lead box. And the way they built it was they dug a big hole out the side of
Mhm.
a little hill. They built the prefab lead lined unit and shoved it in the gap, and then filled all the soil over the top. I think that when they did that, they trapped what we call an elemental inside
Okay.
the box, the lead
Mhm.
box. And whether I don't know whether it can get out or not, or whether it actually likes it in there, but it does have an existence inside this nuclear bunker. And I've been there, and it really does. It's not a negative spirit, but it's not a positive one either. Um,
Mhm.
it's just there. It just exists. It's not, it doesn't do much in the way of anger people, or have any interaction. But it's just a feeling of being watched. I don't think it really interacts too much, but in the particular area where it's been experienced, people do. There's like bunk beds in it, and people have reported that they have their feet pulled if they're laying on the beds,
Okay.
and they're pulled through the bars at the bottom of the beds, and feelings are being touched. So it's not
Mhm.
a negative spirit, but it's not a positive one either. It
Right.
just likes to have a little bit of a wind up and a play. Um, but I have actually um, caught on camera this particular entity when
Wow.
when he was on an investigation there. Um, One of our guests had a old video style camera, so they were actually
Mhm.
recording onto tape. Okay,
Okay.
and they caught something in that there was a medical blind, and as you panned around, you could see a face looking at us through the little gap, and then
Right.
it jumped back and disappeared. Um, if you bear with me, I can probably find that particular um, video footage. Um, that one.
You're breaking up a little bit. I couldn't hear you. Hello?
Um,
We've got technical difficulties here, folks. Excuse us. Are you there, Paul? Hello? Let's see. I'm at, uh, we lost him there for a bit, folks, but I think he's going to try to come back on. It looks like something's happening. Depending on internet um, isn't always great. Okay. There you are.
Hello, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still here. I found my way back.
Oh, good.
So it's
I thought it was
ghosts.
interesting. You start
Don't
talking
worry,
about fairies and then you disappear.
yeah, that's it. It's spooky. But I just shared to you the video, and yeah, this entity was looking at us through the gap in the curtain, and you see the person scroll back and look again, and there's nothing there. So you do actually see it sort of pull back, and it has. One of our psychologists in our team have taken a look at that video and slowed it down and all sorts, and he said he can't explain that. But because he is a psychologist and an occultist, and you know, he's a parapsychologist basically, I'd take his word for it. So if he can't explain it, then to me that's highly probable that it could be a paranormal incident that we have caught on camera, and it has been on YouTube, on one of those top 5 spooky moments type thing. So yeah, if you share that link with all your viewers, people can have a look at that as well.
Okay,
Really
that's on
interesting,
your
that one.
paranormal concept link.
No, I've shared that. It's on a YouTube page.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been going into a private chat, and then I've been taking it out and putting it into the
yeah.
public.
I can't do the comments one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I apologize.
no, that's fine.
Um, this works. Because I've had a lot of actually over there and here even I've I've had experiences where I've actually seen with my own 2 eyes on rare occasions what I would
Yeah,
call elementals
I
acting.
in this entity, the term elemental has been thrown around quite a lot with it. But you know, when you watch the video, you'll actually see that although I said it's a face, it looks quite oriental in looks, but it hasn't quite managed to get the face right. So it's
Okay.
almost like we've looked and it's tried to form into a humanoid shape, but not quite managed to get it right.
Okay.
And you know, we went back there a couple of days after, and we
Hmm.
actually took a small child with us to see whether or not we could get that child to get behind the blinds without us knowing.
Hmm.
And that they couldn't do it. A room behind these blinds, um, for anything to get behind. So whatever it was, we can't explain it.
Okay.
But yeah, the footage is on there,
Fantastic.
and that's what I believe is a fairy or fae of sorts,
Hmm.
and that's my only one experience with them.
Ah, fantastic. Um, yeah, we think of them mostly on isles like yours, but we have similar kinds of beings here. We just don't have as much lore. We do have what's called
Mm.
a Pachuaki or Pukwudgie. I always get the middle of that word mixed up. That's supposed to be you read of various forms and stories of them from Native American traditions all over the country, but
Mm.
we seem to have them around here too. You often see low, shadowy beings running around in spots, and we've got an old mill here that a friend of mine and I, or not me, but a friend of mine and another friend of his, after the site closed, they would sneak in and photo it. But didn't. They
Mm.
documented the site, and they feel for sure that they had some kind of a being like that helping to protect them and lead them because there was security. They couldn't use lights. It's a very
Mm.
treacherous site. You could walk through an open hole and fall into the waterfalls, and um,
Yeah, I mean these creatures or entities, whatever you want to call them,
mhm,
they have always existed. You know,
I think
they've
so.
been here from day one, and it is they are literally protecting the earth, the water, the fire, and that's why they're called elementals, because they are elements,
Hmm.
um, and they're sort of the fae, and I think that's where it sort of evolved into a story. Um,
Right.
I mean, one of my godchildren, they watch the Tinkerbell movies. Um, they had different in the cartoon. I know it's a cartoon, but at the end of the day, you could see relevance in it, because you had
Hmm.
fairies that would look after the water. The blue fairies would be the water fairies. Then you'd
Hmm.
have the green fairies that would look after the trees, and so it's almost taking that fairy story and sort of educating the children in the fact that different fairies or fays would look after different aspects of nature. And
Hmm.
when we're adults, we just learn that these entities are not exactly like they were in the cartoons, but we've got the Fey folklore, and
Right.
it isn't just in the UK. These things are all over the world because that's what they're protecting. They are
Right.
literally, minions of Mother Nature. That's
Yeah.
how I see them.
I think you're
And
right. And I think they come, and I think they go in and out of our dimension as well. I think they're
well,
interdimensional
that's
beings.
always been a theory, because even in like in literature and things like that,
Mhm.
you've always had in time. We had the mythical land of Neverland with Peter Pan. That's where you had all the
Mhm.
pirates and a lot of the fairies were there. That's where
Right.
Tinkerbell comes from. So
Right.
you've had that mythological land, but then you've also had Shangri-La as well. And again,
Right.
that's a Tibetan um, mythical land, and I'm
Hmm.
sure there's plenty of others, that I don't
Hmm.
know of, but they're the two that I can think of off the top of my head. So,
Yeah.
who's to say that there's not these lands or, um, dimensions that do have portals or whatever to this world? I mean, even
Hmm.
Harry Potter, they even had that sort of mythical land in that story as well, because you
Oh,
had to
sure.
go
When you
through.
go to the train,
Yeah,
for
you had to
example.
get onto the train. You had to go through a portal to that realm, didn't you?
Right.
Um, and even when he was flying the car over London, he'd have to go
Hmm.
through a certain pattern to get to catch up with the train and things like that, and using port keys and whatever. So they're sort of, it is sort of educating the children in a way, but it does all fit. It really does.
Hmm. Yeah, I think so too. Um, and that's, I don't know. For me, that's part of starts getting more into some of the deeper metaphysical pieces of paranormal, whatever, where we
Hmm.
start connecting to a larger universal set of beings and consciousness awareness. Um,
But
it's a
yeah, I
little
mean, the
difficult for me to
signs
describe.
the signs are literally all over the place. It's just whether or not you spot them.
Hmm.
But as I said, it is sort of teaching children in a way that there are other elementals, there are other things. Okay, you might not get them, but when you're older,
Right.
you can think back and say, well, actually, yeah,
Hmm.
like I said with Harry Potter and going through the different portals to different
Right.
worlds and realms and things like that. That's just an offshoot of the dimensions,
Hmm. Exactly.
just
And
theories.
we we need to unlearn so much of what we're taught to about outgrowing these fantasies and
Mm.
realize that they're not fantasies. They're a reality. It's just as valid and as real as we are and what we think we're in. Um,
Yeah, and I do think there is a lot of good in what they used to say. You know, um,
mhm.
and there's nothing but nothing bad about going back and doing some research into some of the folklore stuff,
Mhm.
and giving it a 21st century twist.
Mhm.
There's got to be something in it, otherwise they wouldn't have thought it in the first place.
Right. Well, and you think about it, you don't want to tear down the fairy circle, the trees, or whatever. to build your house or to plant your fields, you'll have all this bad luck. Well, it's part of, we need to save some of the trees. We need to protect nature. Um, they don't say you can't
Exactly, and
cut down
it's all
any
good.
trees. Hmm.
Mm.
Exactly.
You know,
Um,
it's
Keep the water
all
clean.
for our good at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. There's a place in Cornwall, St. Nectarne's Glen, um, I think, or Cell. It's between Boscastle and Tintagel that I went to, and it's
Okay.
a unique place. I think it was a sixth, seventh century monk had his own little cell there, and he worked with the community in a variety of ways. But there's a waterfall that goes down, and then it comes and goes through an archway and continues down. And when I was there, the water level was pretty low. People were wading out, and the trees were covered with ribbons, and people put up the little stone as
Mm.
for the fairies, the elementals. It was like a party. Um, there wasn't anybody
Yeah,
there when I
there
was
are
there.
places. There are places in the UK where they have that huge folklore um, inbred into them, and as you said, they make little houses for the fairies and things like that,
Mhm.
especially in Cornwall because that's sort of one of the main areas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been to Boscastle, and I've
Hmm.
also been to Tantigel as well, where it was
Oh, sorry.
assumed that that's where King Arthur and Camelot was.
Right.
It's a nice,
Right.
magical place that is.
It really is, even though I pronounced it wrong. So excuse me.
Hmm. I mean, the
Um,
castle's a bit difficult to get to, but it's still doable. You can get down to it still, or up to it,
up,
whatever way you want to look at it.
up
But
to it
even
and then back
the
down
little
and up to it
village,
again. Hmm.
yeah, even the little village of Tantigel, it's a really beautiful place, and it is
It
just
is.
something that you would imagine a medieval village to look like.
Hmm. And if you go just on the edge of it too, just out a little bit, there's a church, and in the churchyard is a cemetery, of course, but it's also got five, it's either five or seven burial mounds that are probably Bronze
Hmm.
Age, maybe Neolithic. So they've got
Okay.
the mix, which is part of what I like about the old original Celtic Christianity too. It included
Hmm.
um, the past and traditions more, and so you've got the old and the newer religions kind of blending together.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, there is a lot of history, obviously, in the UK.
yeah,
But it's just it's all over the world.
hmm,
Um, not like with like for the Americans in particular. They the history can only go normally goes back like what a few hundred years.
right,
Um, but if you looked into obviously the some of the ancient um, peoples that used to live there like naturally, the indigenous population,
hmm,
some of their cultures as well.
right,
You can pick up so much information. It's brilliant,
hmm,
and I do love
yeah,
history and some of the ancient civilizations. Quite as you know, I'm quite into the Greeks,
right,
Romans as well. Love those. Um,
hmm,
yeah, just Incas, Mayans, Jesuits. That's just a few in the US, well,
right,
Southern America, but yeah,
and
it's all fascinating to me.
it does it me too. And the more ancient, even the better. The Mesopotamian civilizations. Um, Unfortunately, with the world situation, I can't see myself getting to Sumer or any of those places. Um,
Hmm.
the Iraq and Iran aren't very great places to go traveling around, especially if you're an American. Um,
Yeah.
but I've gotten to go to some of the Egyptian ones. I'm going to some of the ones in Turkey, the ancient sites, and um, what you can see and feel in those sites is just amazing. And
Hmm.
in the UK, I mean, you've got so much. Stone Age, let alone Bronze Age and Iron Age.
Absolutely. I know that one of the latest theories about Stonehenge was actually it was built somewhere else now, and transported to where it is now in Salisbury.
Well, the bluestones part, they think maybe because the stones came from Wales. I think the smaller bluestones,
Yeah,
not the big standing stones.
yeah. I
But
can't
those big
remember where
ones
they.
are last.
Yeah, I know the stones came from there, but they actually think that the whole structure was built there and transported across.
Hmm.
That's one of the latest theories in the last couple of months.
Okay. Even the Saracen stones, the big tall ones with the lintels.
Yeah, everything. I don't know how true that is, or whether or not in a few months' time they might just say, "Well, actually, maybe we was wrong. It wasn't that."
Yeah,
But
because
yeah, that's
I
just one of
thought
the
they
latest
found.
theories.
Yeah, because I thought they pretty well figured out which stones came from where and around there.
Hmm.
So that's interesting.
Yeah,
I've got a
they
friend
did.
that.
They've discovered where some of the stones were from,
Yeah,
um, but that's pretty much as far as they've got, really.
yeah. I've
And
got
this
a
new
friend
theory.
that works there, and I'll have to double check on him on some of the latest theories too, see
Hmm.
what's come up. Um, it's he's quite a fountain of information. So,
Yeah.
well, let's see. The hour has flown. Um, do you
Yeah.
have
Well, it
anything
has.
else that you want to get out to the viewers before we sign off? Upcoming
Okay, well, I
events?
think everyone should buy my book.
Yes.
Everyone should buy our books. Definitely, they're a mind of information, and there's so many ideas and concepts that you can get from the books to go into your own paranormal investigations. So definitely have a look, buy them. Um, as I said, you can find them on Amazon all over the world, whatever one is your Amazon. And look out for my personal books about the 12 Labors of Hercules. And definitely go over to the paranormalconcept.com website. You can contact us through that as well, and listen to our shows. Have a listen. There's so much information, and they're 2 hour shows. They just blow your mind.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, they do, and it's a good team you have on the hosting and doing the shows. So I
Yeah,
highly
yeah.
recommend them.
There's the chemistry between us three is absolutely amazing, and we bounce
Hmm.
off each other all the time. You know, we have this informal chat, and we just have a laugh with it as well. Although we're serious, you know, we just have that banter as well, and we keep it light-hearted, but we just impart so much information. It's just like information overload sometimes, but it is just so fascinating some of the things we go into.
Right.
And there is definitely a lot there to learn. But they're all on the website, on the shows menu. I go onto the menu and click on shows, and they're all listed there, and they get updated every week. So a new
Great.
show added every week.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Well, Paul,
and
I
you can
want to
also
thank
get the
you so
book
much. Oh, go
through
ahead.
that website as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was hoping you could. Um, it's been brilliant, and I want to thank you so much for being on. And
No problem.
good,
Pleasure.
good luck with the books. I can't wait
Thank
to
you.
see the new ones coming out.
I'll let you know when they're
Okay,
out.
sounds great, and we'll broadcast it. Take care, everybody. Thanks for
All right. Thank
watching.
you very much for having me on. Okay. All right.